In the ancient city of Jericho, a place bustling with life and trade, a man named Bartimaeus sat by the roadside. But he didn't see the vibrant colors of the market, the smiling faces of children, or the grand architecture of the city. For Bartimaeus, the world was a canvas of endless darkness. He was blind, and his days were spent begging, his only company the sounds of footsteps passing by, each one a reminder of a world he could hear, but never see. His clothes were worn, his hands calloused from feeling his way through a life of shadows. Hope was a luxury he felt he could no longer afford. One afternoon, the usual rhythm of the city changed. A murmur turned into a buzz into a roar. A crowd was gathering, their voices filled with an unusual excitement. Bartimaeus strained his ears. What was happening? He called out to a passerby, "What is all this commotion?" A voice replied, "Jesus of Nazareth is passing by." Jesus, the name echoed in Bartimaeus' mind. He had heard the tales of a man who performed miracles, who spoke with authority and compassion, who healed the sick and gave hope to the hopeless. A tiny spark ignited in the darkness of his heart. Could this be his chance, the one chance he might ever get? He knew he couldn't let this moment slip away. The crowd was thick, a moving wall of people. How could a blind beggar ever hope to reach him? Ignoring the doubt, ignoring the whispers of impossibility, Bartimaeus took a deep breath. He gathered all the strength in his lungs, all the desperation in his soul, and he shouted, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." His voice, raw and loud, cut through the noise of the crowd. Some people turned, annoyed. "Be quiet," they hissed. "Don't bother the master." Their words were like stones, meant to silence him, to push him back into his place of invisibility. But their rebuke only fueled his determination. This was not just about being polite, this was about his entire life. He shouted again, even louder this time, his voice cracking with emotion, "Son of David, have mercy on me." He poured every ounce of his being into that cry. It was a prayer, a plea, a declaration of faith in the middle of a doubtful crowd. He would not be silenced, not today. And then, something incredible happened. The shuffling of feet stopped. The roar of the crowd subsided into a hush. Through the sudden silence, a voice, calm and clear, spoke. "Call him." The voice belonged to Jesus, he had heard. Against all odds, through the noise and the disapproval, he had heard the cry of a single blind man. The same people who had tried to silence Bartimaeus now changed their tune. "Cheer up," they said, their voices suddenly kind. "On your feet, he's calling you." A wave of disbelief and pure joy washed over Bartimaeus. "He's calling me." Without a second's hesitation, he threw aside his cloak, the only possession he had, the symbol of his identity as a beggar. He cast it off, leaving his old life on the dusty ground. He leapt to his feet and, guided by the hands of strangers, made his way through the parting crowd toward the sound of that voice. He stood before Jesus, heart pounding in his chest. He could feel the warmth of the sun on his face, the presence of the man who held his future in his hands. Jesus looked at him with kindness and asked a simple, profound question, "What do you want me to do for you?" The question was an invitation. It wasn't "What do you need?" but "What do you want?" It gave Bartimaeus dignity, a choice. There was no hesitation in his reply. He knew exactly what he wanted more than anything in the world. "Rabbi," he said, his voice filled with reverence and a lifetime of longing, "I want to see." It was a simple request, but it held the weight of 1,000 dark nights and 1,000,000 unseen sunrises. Jesus looked at him, and a gentle smile touched his lips. He didn't perform a grand ritual or say a complicated prayer. He simply said, "Go, your faith has healed you." Faith, it wasn't a magic word or a special ceremony. It was the desperate, unwavering belief in Bartimaeus' heart that had pierced the noise and touched the divine. Immediately, as the words left Jesus' lips, something shifted. A flicker of light, then a burst, then a flood. Colors, shapes, and forms rushed into his consciousness for the first time. He blinked, and the blurry figure before him sharpened into the face of Jesus, filled with compassion. He saw the sky, a brilliant, breathtaking blue. He saw the green of the trees, the textures of the stone buildings, the faces in the crowd astonished, amazed. He could see. Tears streamed down his face, not tears of sorrow, but tears of overwhelming joy. He looked at his own hands, seeing them for the first time. The world was more beautiful, more vibrant, more alive than he could have ever imagined. He was no longer Bartimaeus the blind beggar. He was just Bartimaeus, a man made whole, but his story doesn't end there. After receiving his sight, he didn't run off to start a new life, to make up for lost time. The first thing he did with his newfound vision was to follow Jesus. He joined the crowd, not as a desperate man on the sidelines, but as a grateful follower in the center of it all. His journey out of darkness wasn't just about regaining his sight, it was about finding his way. He threw off his beggar's cloak, and in its place, he took up a life of purpose, following the one who had shown him the light. His story reminds us that sometimes all it takes is a cry of faith to change everything, and that true sight isn't just about what our eyes can see, but what our hearts choose to follow. Thank you for watching.